Nature can be your therapist. And anxiety to the point where I was having a really hard time. Spirit of reciprocity gives something back to nature too. Welcome to Lopi in the Wild. I am really glad you're here. If you're new here, a special welcome. I just got back from a 3-week cross-country road trip, camping in my van across the country in national parks and forests and swimming in rivers and having all sorts of adventures. And when I got home, I got to reflecting on the ways that I tended to my mental health along the way, which really helped me to stay sane, stay centered, and have more joy and fun. We don't have as many distractions either while traveling or while camping. We're in nature. We don't have the kinds of distractions from home that we're used to. And it can bring up a lot of old stuff, feelings that we aren't used to feeling. And so for me, I honor that, and I actually do these trips so that I can process my life. So it can be kind of intense, but that's why I do this stuff. You know, that I'm really interested in the inner journey as much as the outer journey. So it's important to have a plan. And that's what this video is about, is offering you a bit of a map, a bit of a roadmap for navigating the terrain of our mental health on the road or when camping. So I'm glad you're here, and here we go. I would say one of the most important things for your mental health when you're on the road is just leaning into the joy and pleasure of it all. Just really being a kid in nature, having fun. You're on a trip, you're on an adventure, you're camping. Do the fun things, build the fire, swim in the lake, take the hike, whatever works for your body, but do the fun thing. Just do it. You know, within the limits that your own body has. Also just slowing down, enjoying the little things, the cooking, the campfire cooking, the eating, just sitting and reading a book, feeling the breeze. I'm getting a little bit of a rain right now, just feeling the gentle raindrops on my skin. Washing dishes. Now, washing dishes while camping, you might say, is not the most fun task, but let me tell you a story. I was in Colorado about 3 years ago, and this was when I was camping out of my Subaru Forester that I had built out. And I remember washing my dishes in the river and it being such a beautiful and meditative and simple process. Just squatting down by the river and just washing my dishes in that cold river and scrubbing them and rinsing them and shaking them out and drying them out. And it was just such a pleasurable task, and actually created a memory of washing dishes. So even the little things can bring a lot of pleasure. I would also just say, you know, that reminder that nature is good for the soul. So leaning into the joy and pleasure of nature. Nature can be your therapist. You also might think about offering something back to nature. So if you have a therapist, you pay your therapist, right? You give them something in return. So in the spirit of reciprocity, give something back to nature too. And that can be joyful and pleasurable too. It might be, I like to make little mandalas out of like pine cones and sticks and rocks, and just as an offering back to nature, and offering back nature's beauty to itself. But another example of something that you could offer back is, you know, cleaning up a campground a little bit, leaving your camp spot a little cleaner than when you found it. So yeah, nature, pleasure, joy, that's what it's all about. So I'm here in my van, and this is my bed where I sleep when I'm camping or out on the road. What's really important for me in regular life is to have a daily routine. But remember, the routine is not life. The routine is there to serve you to live a fulfilling life. So we don't want to get too fixated on routine, especially when we're out camping or we're on a road trip or we're having an adventure or we're just living more nomadically for a while, right? We really want to kind of go with the flow more. That's part of the appeal of getting out of our regular routine. But that being said, if you struggle with challenges like anxiety or trauma recovery or addiction recovery or just want to stay grounded and centered, a daily routine is really critical. For me, a daily routine is about sleeping and eating and cleaning and hygiene and that sort of thing. So, the level and quality of how we do those things when we're camping or road tripping is going to be a lot different than how we would do that at home. But nonetheless, they're still really important. And on my recent trip, I found that finding a way to get a shower in, or even if it was a dip in a river or a lake before I went to bed at night after, being kind of hot and sweaty all day, that was a really good way to sort of just stick with the routine, and it just supported my sleep. And so they kind of connect to each other. And so having a good sleep routine, keeping my regular sleep routine was really helpful for me. I seemed to wake up at 5 a.m. no matter where I was. I was in like 4 different time zones or 3 or 4 different time zones. And so I seemed to wake up at 5 a.m. when the sun came up wherever I was. But, I tried to get it to bed at a reasonable time. But just doing your camp chores, doing your van chores, campsite chores, pack things up and get ready for the road, clean things up. Maybe you're cleaning up your breakfast or something like that. So there's always chores to do. You may have like water tanks to empty on occasion or fill. There's laundry to be done. All of that kind of stuff, still has to be done. So just finding a daily routine that just is supportive of you having a good experience, but also just can support you staying grounded.
Next tip, which is physical activity. So if you're actually camping and you're at your campsite and you're there for a day or two or a week or 2 weeks, you're probably going to be doing quite a bit of physical activity. My experience is just walking around the campground and doing camp chores and just doing campground kind of things. It's a lot of activity, and probably more activity than you're even used to at home, which is why I usually come home pretty wiped out after camping trips. And it's one of the great things about it, because it's just such a physical kind of embodied experience. I really love it in that way. One thing I do find, though, is that because I'm sleeping in a very small, narrow bed, basically on a wooden platform with a little bit of mattress on top, I find that I like to get some good stretching in. But when I'm on the road and driving all day, and sometimes I'll drive for really a long time, maybe even like 12 hours or something like that, I get really stove up being in that same position all of the time. So not only do I just take little breaks here and there when I'm just stopping for gas or bathroom breaks, and so kind of just walk around a little bit, do a little extra walking in those moments, but I will also just literally schedule in some time of the day where I'm going to get some physical activity in. So I remember, gosh, where was I? I think I was in Ohio, where I found a little park, and it had a basketball court, and I carry my basketball with me because I'm just weird that way. But and I just shot baskets, and that felt really good. Or I'm by a lake, and so I just do a little walk along the beach for a little bit. Just getting kind of outdoor physical nature time in when I'm on the road and traveling is really good. I take my bike with me generally, so I can just pop the bike off and just tootle around and go for a little bike ride, though. But sometimes I don't want to be sitting again either, so I'll just do other things like move my body in other ways. But yeah, and I do find that again, getting a little bit of stretching in sometimes can be really helpful. But yeah, physical activity is important. It's important for our mental health, and when I'm not getting physical activity in, I have trouble going to sleep at night. So that's really helpful to be able to get the sleep. Research says that that combination of physical activity done outdoors, you get kind of this double bang for your buck. You get both the physical activity benefits and the being outside in nature benefits. So camping is really good for your mental health in that respect. So, and it's a good way to stay grounded and centered.
So another thing that can support your mental health is actually just having a support system, people. So you're camping alone, you're traveling alone, you're not going to be as connected to people as you normally might be. But one thing to think about is that there's people everywhere. So even at a campground, just talking to people and going up to people and connecting with people, that's a really good way to just feel like you're not alone in the world. Receiving the support, just a nice campground host who goes out of their way to help you with something, can really just feel like you're being cared for and feel just very human. So that's one way to think about it. But really importantly is to have your own self support system lined up.
These are people that care about you and love you and your family and friends. So we want to stay connected to them. We have this technology to be able to do it. You're not always going to have the best reception, but by and large, you can at least text people. You can usually have enough cell coverage to be able to communicate with people. So that really helps me. I would talk to at least one person a day when I was on the road, if not more. And that just really helped me to stay connected and to feel a sense of just belonging. Another aspect of just this people and connection is just people you meet on the road, the person at the gas station, the person at the campground, the person that really helped you out, went out of their way to help you. I had someone help me with a tire that I needed help with on the road on this last trip I was on. And he was so sweet, and I just really appreciated him. So just appreciating the people that you do run into is a way just to feel connected to other people and part of just humanity. Not everybody has optimal mental health either. I think everybody has to tend to it, has to work at it, and some of us more than others. And those of us with backgrounds in trauma or backgrounds in addiction or backgrounds where we have nervous systems that are wired differently than others, it's really important that you really have a plan. You need a plan going into these kinds of outings, because otherwise we can get ourselves in trouble. And I've actually been there in terms of experiencing deep, profound levels of loneliness and isolation. Another resource within this category of connecting to people and your support system is therapy on the road. With online therapy, you can do therapy on the road. And I actually had a therapy session somewhere in Iowa, I think it was, at a McDonald's in my van. I had it scheduled, and I just figured I'd keep the appointment, and boy, it really helped with everything I'd been processing, and it was super helpful. Don't regret that at all. Yeah, I would just say just podcasts and audiobooks. It's just the voice of other people, and it can just feel like, just feel like you're part of the greater human community. Podcasts, I like that because it feels like you're just kind of listening to friends talking to each other, and I really like that piece of it. And then with the audiobooks, just having someone like read you a story, that's a really good feeling to have. So another tip for your mental health is what I'll just call meditation. But I'm using this category very inclusively to include meditation, something you might find on an app, or something that you like to do, like a loving kindness meditation, or it could involve journaling or art or music or prayer. So anything in that category that is like feeding your spirit and helping you to process feelings, process thoughts, sort of just keeping things in flow and keeping your eye on the bigger picture as well, giving you some perspective. So this is the spot, this chair here in my van. I have a swivel seat on the passenger side in the van, and it opens up to the whole van space here, and allows me to just have kind of a sense of a living room. But I like to sit here in the mornings and do my meditation sitting here after I make some tea or coffee. And I sit here and start every day camping in this spot and checking in with myself and doing some version of what I just said: meditation, prayer, journaling, or combination thereof. So that's really critical for me. I'll also do some things like maybe some coloring or just something like that. So, you know, you choose your own adventure here and do what works for you. I want to say thank you so much for being here. If you like this video, if you like this content, if you want to see my camping adventures and how I go about my camping adventures, and I bring a lot of mindfulness and joy and some of the things I was talking about today in the video to my camping adventures. If you want to check those out and stay along for the ride, I would love it if you would subscribe to the channel today. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button right now, and I promise you won't be disappointed. So, happy trails.